THE0 SNG. The bridge of the Imperial Monitor Station. Kethva hummed with the low, rhythmic pulse of 1,000 automated systems. Commander Thelrix stood at the central viewport. His 4 optical stalks, tracking the spatial grid with practiced ease. For 17 cycles, he had overseen this border checkpoint, a quiet posting where nothing of consequence ever occurred. Today, that changed. Commander. His sensor officer chittered, mandibles clicking in confusion. Contact. Single vessel. Human configuration. Thelrix's stalk swiveled toward the display. A blip, small but distinct, moving at sub. Light speeds directly toward the border marker. No escort. No fleet shadow. Just one ship. Identification. Transmitting now, sir. Registry reads, UHSV Resolve. Diplomatic classification. A laugh rippled through the bridge crew, a sound like wind through hollow reeds. Humans. The galaxy's eternal disappointment. Fractured into a dozen squabbling governments. Prone to emotional outbursts. Technologically competent, but strategically inept. They had been confined to their small cluster of systems for good reason. Hail them. Thelrix ordered, his tone bored. Standard protocol. Inform them they are approaching restricted space and must turn back. The communications officer complied. Moments later, the response came. The voice was calm, human, but filtered through a translator that stripped away most of the tonal complexity their species was known for. Monitor Station Kethva. This is Captain Sarah Chen of the United Human Systems Vessel Resolve. We acknowledge your territorial boundary. We are requesting passage under diplomatic immunity. Article 7 of the Galactic Accord. We have wounded aboard, refugees from the Talon system. They require medical aid beyond our capabilities. Thelrix's stalk stiffened. The Talon system. A minor colony world that had recently been pacified by Imperial forces after accusations of harboring dissidents. The official reports claimed minimal casualties. The unofficial whispers spoke of something else entirely. Refugees. Thelrix repeated slowly. You are harboring Talon insurgents. We are transporting civilians. Chen replied, and there was no anger in her voice, only certainty. 18 individuals. 12 children. All registered under provisional asylum codes. We are not asking for political sanctuary on your worlds, Commander. We are asking for safe passage to the neutral lanes, where they can receive proper care. Thelrix felt the weight of protocol settling on his carapace. The Imperium did not negotiate with smugglers of Imperial subjects, especially not humans, who had no business interfering in sovereign affairs. Your request is denied, Captain Chen. Reverse course immediately or you will be detained. There was a pause. Not long, perhaps 3 heartbeats. But in that silence, something shifted. Commander Thelrix, Chen said quietly. I want you to understand something. We are not here to start a war. We are not here to challenge your authority. But those children will not be sent back to die because of bureaucracy. Thelrix's sensory organs detected a subtle change in the Resolve's energy signature. Not weapons charging, something else. Something deeper. Like a great machine waking from sleep. You are threatening an Imperial station, he asked, disbelief creeping into his voice. No, Commander. Chen's voice remained steady, almost gentle. I'm making a promise. We will cross this border. We will deliver these people to safety. And we will do so with, or without your permission. But I would prefer it be with your understanding. For the first time in 17 cycles, Thelrix felt something he had not expected to feel on this posting. Uncertainty. He glanced at his tactical officer, whose translator collar was flashing amber. Ship analysis. Sir, their power output is wrong. The reactor signature suggests a vessel 3 times that size. And their hull plating. The officer's voice faltered. It's not registering on standard scans. It's like they're layered in something that doesn't exist. Thelrix turned back to the viewport. The resolve hung there, small and unremarkable against the void. But now, looking closer, he could see it. The ship wasn't moving like a supplicant. It was moving like a predator that had chosen not to hunt. Yet, Captain Chen, Thelrix said slowly, you understand that if you cross this boundary, the Imperium will consider it an act of war. Another pause. Then, Commander, with respect, the Imperium doesn't get to decide what humanity considers worth fighting for. We do. And without waiting for a response, the UHSV Resolve crossed the border. No alarms, no weapons fire. Just a single human warship, moving with impossible calm into the heart of the largest empire the galaxy had ever known. Thelrix stood frozen, watching it go. And for the first time in his long career, he realized he had just witnessed something the Imperium had never prepared for. Humanity choosing its moment. The grand chamber of the Imperial confluence was a monument to eternity. Carved from a single asteroid and suspended in the void above the capital world of Keth Prime, its walls held the crystallized histories of 10,000 conquered species. Here, the Imperium's highest council convened to decide the fate of star systems. Today, they convened to discuss a single ship. High Executor Vasicthorn reclined on his gravitational throne, his serpentine form coiled in the ritualistic posture of supreme authority. Around him, holographic representations of the 12 sector commanders materialized, each a master of their domain, each responsible for millions of vessels and billions of subjugated beings. Let me understand this correctly. Vasicthorn hissed, his twin tongues tasting the recycled air. A single human vessel has violated our sovereign border, ignored direct commands, and proceeded into Imperial space. And your response was to let it pass. Commander. Thelrix's image flickered at the far end of the chamber, his stalks drooping in a posture of submission. High Executor, the situation was unusual. The vessel displayed capabilities. Sector Marshal Quindar interrupted, her crystalline voice sharp as shattered glass. They are humans, Thelrix. Their largest fleet couldn't withstand a single battle cruiser. What capabilities could possibly justify your cowardice? Thelrix's stalks trembled. Marshal, I recommend you review the sensor logs before. The sensor logs show a ship 1/10 the size of a standard frigate. Vasicthorn cut in. What they don't show is why you failed to detain it. A new voice entered the conversation, older, deeper, carrying the weight of countless battles. Admiral Korveth, Supreme Commander of the Imperial Fleet, materialized at the center of the chamber. His species, the Vracus, were known for 3 things: strategic brilliance, ruthless efficiency, and an almost supernatural ability to assess threats. He had reviewed the logs. "High Executor," Korveth said quietly. "I believe, Commander." Thelrix exercised appropriate caution. The chamber fell silent. Vaskthorn's coils tightened. "Explain." Korveth gestured, and the Resolve's image expanded across the chamber. "This vessel's reactor signature is inconsistent with its size. Our analysts estimate it's producing energy output equivalent to a Dreadnought-class ship. Additionally, its hull composition resists our scanning protocols. We cannot determine its weapon systems, troop complement, or shield configuration, so it's well shielded." Quindar scoffed. "That doesn't make it a threat." "No," Korveth agreed. "What makes it a threat is its behavior." He pulled up the communications transcript. Chen's voice echoed through the chamber. "We will cross this border. We will deliver these people to safety, and we will do so with or without your permission." "Duh. Do you hear it?" Korveth asked. No bravado, no rage, no fear. This is not a species posturing. This is a species that has already decided what it's willing to die for. Vaskthorn's tongues flickered in irritation. "Poetic, Admiral. But the Imperium does not bend to resolve. We bend others to ours. Then I recommend we send a message." Korveth replied. 3 battle cruisers. Standard intercept formation. We hail them, offer one final chance to surrender the refugees, and if they refuse..." He paused. "We disable their engines and tow them back." "Disable." Quindar's voice dripped with disdain. "Why not simply destroy them?" Korveth turned to face her projection. "Because, Marshal, we don't yet know if that ship is alone." The chamber stirred. Murmurs rippled through the council. "You think this is a provocation?" Vaskthorn asked slowly. "A test. I think," Korveth said carefully, "that humans do not send their diplomatic vessels into Imperial space without purpose. And I think we should discover that purpose before we turn this into a war we didn't anticipate." Vaskthorn was silent for a long moment. Then his coils shifted, a gesture of decision. "Very well. Send the battlecruisers. Offer them one chance. If they refuse, disable and capture. But make it clear, if they resist, we will interpret it as an act of war. And the Imperium does not lose wars." Korveth bowed his head. "It will be done, High Executor." The council dissolved, projections winking out one by one. But as the chamber emptied, Korveth remained, staring at the frozen image of the Resolve. His tactical instincts, honed across 3 centuries of warfare, were screaming at him. This wasn't a provocation. It was a statement. And somewhere, in the cold mathematics of strategy, he understood what that statement meant. We are not asking. We are informing you. 12 hours later, 3 Imperial battlecruisers dropped out of hyperspace, directly in the Resolve's path. Each was 5 kilometers long. Each carried enough firepower to reduce a moon to rubble. Each was crewed by warriors who had never known defeat. The lead cruiser, Talkovar's Fist, hailed the human vessel. "UHSV Resolve. This is Battle Captain Draxter of the Imperial Fleet. You have violated sovereign space and ignored lawful commands. You will power down your engines, transfer the Talon refugees to our custody, and submit to escort. You have 60 seconds to comply." Captain Sarah Chen's response came almost immediately. "Battle Captain Draxter, We cannot comply with your request. The refugees aboard this ship are under human protection. We will continue to the neutral lanes. Draxter's mandibles clicked in amusement. Captain, you are outgunned, outmassed, and alone. This is not a negotiation. Comply, or we will disable your vessel by force. There was a pause. Then Chen spoke again, and this time, her voice carried something that made Draxter's combat instincts flare. Not fear, not defiance, certainty, battle captain. She said softly. I want you to look very carefully at your long-range sensors. And then I want you to reconsider your ultimatum. Draxter frowned and gestured to his sensor officer, who went very, very still. Sir, the officer whispered. Hyperspace signatures. Multiple contacts. They're dropping in behind us. Draxter's blood ran cold. How many? The officer's voice trembled. 17, sir. Cruiser, class. Human configuration. They're forming a perimeter around us. And in that moment, as the Imperial battlecruisers found themselves suddenly surrounded, the galaxy learned its second lesson about humanity. When one human ship crosses the border, it's not a mistake. It's an invitation. Battle Captain Draxter had fought in 43 engagements across his career. He had broken blockades, crushed rebellions, and seen entire fleets reduced to debris fields. He knew the mathematics of combat, like a poet knew verse. And right now, those mathematics were screaming at him. 17 human warships. Each smaller than his battle cruisers, but arranged in a formation that was wrong. Not aggressive. Not defensive. Something else entirely. They had appeared without warning, dropping out of hyperspace with a precision that shouldn't have been possible. No gravitational wake. No energy spike. Just sudden, absolute presence. And they were waiting. Tactical analysis. Draxter ordered, his voice steady despite the cold settling into his combat chiton. His tactical officer's claws moved across the console. Sir, their formation is. I don't recognize it. They're not surrounding us for an attack run. They're positioned like. He paused, mandibles clicking in confusion. Like observers. They have clear firing solutions on us, but their weapons are cold. Reactors at minimal output. Minimal. Draxter's eyes narrowed. For all 17 ships? Yes, sir. It's as if they're idling. Draxter turned back to the main display. The Resolve hung there, small and seemingly defenseless between his 3 battle cruisers. But now, in the context of those 17 silent watchers, the diplomatic vessel looked less like prey and more like bait. His communications console chimed. Captain Chen's voice returned, still calm, still measured. Battle Captain Draxter. I believe you've noticed our escort has arrived. I want to be very clear about something. Those ships are not here to start a war. They are here to ensure we complete our mission. The refugees aboard this vessel will reach safety. That is not negotiable. Draxter felt his combat glands activate, flooding his system with focused stimulants. Captain Chen, you are threatening Imperial vessels in Imperial space. This is an act of war. No. Battle Captain. Chen's voice held no anger, no triumph. Only that same unbearable certainty. This is an act of mercy. We're protecting 18 innocent beings. If the Imperium chooses to interpret that as war, that's your decision. But understand, we didn't come here to fight you. We came here to save them. Then you should have stayed in your borders? Draxter hissed. Some things. Chen replied quietly. Air more important than borders. Before Draxter could respond, a new voice cut through the channel. One he recognized with a sinking feeling. Tal Kovar's fist. This is Admiral Korvath. Stand by for tactical assessment. Do not engage without my direct authorization. Draxter's mandibles clicked in frustration, but he obeyed. Acknowledged, Admiral. Moments later, Korvath's image appeared on a private channel. The old warrior's expression was grim. You see it, don't you? Korvath said without preamble. Sir, the formation. I've reviewed the data. Those 17 ships aren't positioned for combat. They're positioned for extraction. Draxter's combat instincts caught up. Extraction of what? Not what. Who? Korvath gestured, and tactical overlays appeared. Watch what happens if you fire on the Resolve. 12 of those ships have clear intercept vectors to shield it. The other 5 have firing solutions on your engines, not your hulls. They're positioned to disable, not destroy. So they can be beaten, can they? Korvath's voice was sharp. You have 3 ships. They have 17. Your vessels are larger, yes. More heavily armed. But they moved into formation in 3 seconds. Do you understand what that means? That level of coordination, that precision, they've drilled this scenario. Probably hundreds of times. Draxter felt something unfamiliar creeping up his spine. Not fear. Warriors of the Vracus did not know fear. But uncertainty. What are your orders, Admiral? Korvath was silent for a long moment. When he spoke, his voice carried the weight of hard decisions. You will open a corridor. You will allow the Resolve and its escort to pass. What? Draxter's mandibles flared in disbelief. Admiral, we cannot simply. You will open a corridor. Korvath repeated, each word falling like a hammer. Because if you engage, you will lose. Perhaps not immediately. Perhaps you'll destroy 2 or 3 of their ships. But then the rest will disable your vessels, rescue their crews if they're merciful. And the Resolve will continue anyway. And the Imperium will have started a war with a species we don't yet understand, over 18 refugees. But the precedent. The precedent, Korvath interrupted, is that the Imperium is wise enough to recognize when honor demands restraint. You will hail Captain Chen. You will inform her that, in the interest of avoiding unnecessary bloodshed, you are allowing them passage to the neutral lanes. You will make it clear this is a one-time courtesy. Draxter's combat chitin ached with the need to fight. But he was a soldier. He followed orders. Yes, Admiral. The channel closed. Draxter composed himself, then opened the general frequency. Captain Chen. The Imperial Fleet recognizes your diplomatic immunity under Article 7 of the Galactic Accord. You are granted passage to the neutral lanes. This courtesy will not be extended again. There was a pause. Then Chen's voice returned, and Draxter heard something in it he hadn't expected: gratitude. Genuine, human gratitude. Thank you, Battle Captain. Truly. I know this decision wasn't easy. For what it's worth, we don't want to be your enemies. We just couldn't abandon them. And then, something happened that would be discussed in Imperial tactical academies for generations. The 17 human warships didn't gloat, didn't posture, didn't even acknowledge their victory. They simply reformed around the resolve, a protective constellation of steel and purpose, and continued their journey. No threats, no parting shots, just 18 human vessels keeping a promise. 3 days later, the resolve reached the neutral lanes. The Talon refugees were transferred to medical frigates. 12 children and 6 adults. Their injuries treated. Their lives saved. As the resolve prepared to depart, one of the refugees, a young Talon female barely into adolescence, approached Captain Chen on the observation deck. "Captain," she said in broken standard, her 4 eyes glistening. "Why? Why did your people risk war for us? We are nothing to you." Sarah Chen knelt down, bringing herself to eye level with the child. "You're not nothing," she said softly. "You're someone who needed help. And where we come from, that's enough." The Talon child didn't understand the words. Not really. But she understood the meaning, and she would remember. Back in Imperial space, Admiral Korvheth stood in his war room, staring at the tactical recordings. His subordinates had called it a humiliation, a retreat. But Korvheth knew better. This wasn't a retreat. It was reconnaissance. Humanity had shown them something today. Not their weapons. Not their ships. Their willingness to commit. And in the cold calculus of warfare, that was the most dangerous weapon of all. He pulled up a classified file. One that had been circulating through Imperial intelligence for months. Reports of human activities at the edges of known space. Unexplained construction. Strange energy signatures. Diplomatic overtures to minor species the Imperium had dismissed as irrelevant. The pieces were connecting. And Admiral Korvheth, veteran of 3 centuries of war, felt something he hadn't felt in decades. The weight of an approaching storm. Across the galaxy. In the fragmented territories humanity called home. The Joint Defense Council convened in emergency session. The resolve succeeded, reported Admiral Marcus Okonkwo, his weathered face grave. All refugees delivered safely. No human casualties. Relief rippled through the council chamber. And the Imperial response? Asked Counselor Zhao. They backed down. But not out of fear. Out of calculation. Okonkwo pulled up the tactical data. They're analyzing us now. Trying to understand what we're capable of. Good, said Counselor Amari from Luna Station. Let them analyze. Let them wonder. 'Cause the next time they decide to pacify a system, they'll remember those 17 ships. They'll remember that someone was watching. Is this wise? Asked a voice from the back. Representative Volkov from Mars. Provoking the largest empire in the galaxy over refugees. Admiral Okonkwo turned to face him, and his voice carried the weight of conviction. Representative, humanity has been fragmented for too long. We've fought each other, distrusted each other, competed over resources and ideology. But there's one thing, that every human government, every faction, every colony agrees on. What's that? That some things are worth standing together for. That some lines, once crossed, demand a response. The Imperium thought we were divided. Weak, irrelevant. He gestured to the display, showing the 17 warships in perfect formation. Today, we showed them what humans become when we remember who we are. The council chamber fell silent. And in that silence, humanity chose its future.